Timo, we know that Sheldon's a very intentional coach with his practices. We saw some battle drills, scrimmaging. Can you just talk about how today's practice will help you guys be better during this busy week?
Yeah, it was a good practice. We had a lot of battles. We went over some stuff that we believe we can do a better job. So obviously, we do our video and then practice usually relates on the things that we got to work on. So good practice today that we got a lot of stuff done.
Heading into this week, Florida, Toronto, there's a bunch of tough opponents, but you guys got back into that win column. How confident does that bring? How much confidence does that bring into this busy week?
Definitely. It was nice for us to get home after a lot of road games to get back to our rink and get a win. So this is going to be a really important week. We're facing good teams. We're facing a team tomorrow that we've beaten twice in their rink, so they're obviously going to come hard. So we got to be ready right off the start. But like I said, we got a good practice in today. We're we like having home games, so after being on the road for a while, so it's going to be coming out with a lot of energy and obviously facing those challenges.
We've talked about taking those next steps with the defensive coverage, getting back to that really strong shutdown style of play. Where do you think is that next step for this team?
Yeah, just reading the situations better. I think sometimes we don't do a good job recognizing the situation, getting caught at the wrong side of people, and just making sure we, especially on coming back into the zone, limiting the team's room to skate through our neutral zone. So I think that's something that we can do a better job.
Something that was really key against Tampa was surviving the pressure, and in that first period, you guys really did have some sustained offensive zone time. What are you liking about the ability that you guys are building on having longer offensive zone time?
Yeah, it's frustrating for the other team if you can go on the forecheck, get pucks, and then play in the O-zone and outchange teams. That's where you get them tired, and we can get fresh people on there, and just sustaining that pressure with it's also part of our game. If we play well, that's what we do, and we move our feet. We're skating consistently, so that's really tough on teams if we can do that.
Sheldon, when it comes to practice today, we saw breakouts, battles, these little details that you guys work on in these practices. How can that help prepare against some really tough opponents this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's the little battles that happen kind of inside a structure, but that happen all over the ice that are so important. The wall play, the execution in those combative situations when you're under pressure. So something we've worked on since really day one of training camp, and when you get practice time like this, it's a rare practice day coming off a day off for us where we can get some extra reps and those types of things, but certainly are going to be important this week with the competition that's coming and really the whole season and what we're building towards.
Timo talked with me a little bit about reading situations better on defense, and that could be an area to help elevate their defensive play. What can they do to really read these situations quicker and better? Yeah,
just value them, value the importance of defending and not giving up anything for the other team. Everybody in the league can defend. It's a mindset. And when we've been at our best, we've been in the right frame of mind, and we've transitioned quickly on defense, and it's one step towards our end versus one step towards the opponent's end when things are in question. Sometimes it's as simple as that. For the most part through the season, our guys have done a really good job. There's just been, there's been some instances in each game of late where we haven't made the appropriate decision or we've been one step behind, and that makes all the world of difference in the NHL.
Did you feel that in your last game there was a little more focus on that state of mind that you were talking about, particularly maybe in those first two periods? Things kind of slipped in the third?
Yeah. Like I said, I think we've done a good job of it. Even when we were in New York, I thought we did a good job of it. There's just, when you're playing against teams that have elite players on the other side, things get magnified if you make the mistake at the wrong time. So that's where it's like, be really aware of where the puck is, who you're on the ice against, and adjust your game accordingly. We've got really good players. We want them confident in being in who they are on offense, but everybody has a responsibility to respect the game and respect the opposition and to take care of the game when the puck's in question or the other team has it.
A couple of weeks ago, Nico said to me that he felt that trip to Florida early on in the year, I guess it was mid-November, playing particularly against the Panthers the way you did was a real turning point in knowing what you guys can accomplish as a team in the long run. What was it about those games, and what needs to be replicated going forward in that respect?
Yeah, well, I would agree with that opinion that it important for us because we went in with a very clear plan. We had 2 games against the same opponent, obviously the Cup champs, and the level of respect we have for them brought out the best in us. But everything with and without the puck was executed at a high level. Not that we didn't make mistakes, but we had a game plan going in. The guys stuck with it, committed to it. It was really sort of having everything fall into place that we talked about from training camp all the way through to that point. And it being probably the most consistent that it's been throughout 60 minutes in each of those games. So I would say it set a real model for us of what we're capable of. Now we finished that trip with laying an egg in Tampa shortly after that, but I think those 2 games, I think, aside from the stretch that we had here on home ice, the stretch with under 20 shots that we put together and that NHL record that we set, whatever that was, shots games with under 20 shots against. Those Florida games, I thought, were as close as we've been in the early going in the season to what that was before Christmas.
When you look at these 3 games, back to back to back, do you look at them as a bit of a measuring stick, kind of? I mean, I'm guessing that competition level.
Are you referring to Tampa as one of the 3?
Yeah, Tampa, the Panthers, and the Leafs.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, you're going against some of the league's best. I don't know if measuring stick is the right term. But I think anytime you play against the league's best, you want to be at your best. It's kind of similar to what I talk about with when you're on the ice against the other team's best players within a game, no matter who you're playing. You should be on high alert, and I think it's the same when you're playing against the league's best teams, is you have such respect for them that you need to be really good. And we've had similar types of stretches this season earlier on in the first half where you look at it, as the schedule's approaching and it looks daunting. Just talked about it, 2 games back to back in Florida against the Panthers. That one really stood out, and then Tampa after that. We played 2 of our best games to start off in Florida, so we responded well in that case. We're off to a pretty good start with, finding a way to get 2 points against Tampa, but we know we'll be put to the test this entire week. We're looking at the whole stretch between Florida and Toronto, and then Philadelphia and Ottawa and back-to-backs. It's teams that are playing very well, and teams either firmly in the playoffs or competing hard and challenging the teams above them.
What have you seen from the third line since Dowling's taken over at center there, and what's something you'd like to see them do more going forward with more playing time?
I think they've done a good job, to the point that you're confident putting them on the ice. But they had a rough first period the other night. Aside from that, I think they've done a good job. What I like to see more from them, no different than when Hollow was there. Spend more time in the offensive zone. Get in behind the other team's defense, hang on to the puck more. Spend less time in our end and on our half of the ice. That's when they're at their best. And the first period the other night was an indication of what it looks like when it's not going well. But we've had lots of examples of those guys, creating lots, and obviously Cotter's had some offensive success. But that's what we'd like to see more of, is that time on the offensive side of the red line.
What have you seen from Dougie, using not just with his shot but with his body on defense as well?
There's been some great examples here, of what he's really capable of physically, and I think, in our game, you need guys that step out of character every now and again, and Doug's not the most physical guy, even though he's a physical specimen, and is capable of it. So to me, that just shows that he cares and that he's doing what's required in those moments. So, that's great to see. We need more of that from Dougie. Like, everybody needs to bring a little bit more all the time to really grow their game, right? For Doug, it's a little more physical consistency and defending, and for some other players, maybe you need to find a play on offense every now and again for us and step out of character that way and come through and make a play on offense the way Dougie does pretty consistently for us. So everybody's got to step outside themselves a little bit and do a little bit extra, but the physical stuff certainly is a lot easier to accomplish than it is to make a play and score a goal. Which is why the guys who score big points and goals usually get paid more, but all of it is vital and important to be a part of a successful team.
How do you
you balance Sheldon Keefe, head coach of the New Jersey Devils, and Sheldon Keefe, husband and father, in the middle of the season?
Oh, there's a lot to that. It's been one of the biggest challenges for me this year has been being here in Jersey. We made the decision as a family for them to stay back in Toronto, so I've been here by myself, and they've been visiting, or I've been visiting them in off days and such. In fact, yesterday I spent my off day in Michigan watching my son play hockey, and then drove back to Toronto to fly back last night. So that was my day off to make sure I'm present. I got 2 boys at 12 and 14. I want to make sure I'm present for their life, but also felt it was really important to give them the stability to stay there. We're fortunate to spend 9 great years in Toronto, and my kids basically raised there, so having that stability is important. My wife's managing a lot, and I'm doing what I can from here. I miss a lot, but it's also allowed me to really invest in this team and in my job here. Had terrific support from everybody to help me do that, and when time is allowed, the flexibility has been there to make sure I get some face time with them.
Do you think it's hard to balance as a coach or as a player, that family on ice?
I mean, I got to say it's a coach, just because as a coach you have so many more responsibilities and your brain never shuts off. One thing that has been easier this year is when I do see my family, I value that time so much more that I'm all in. My times in Toronto, you're kind of in your routines, and it was the biggest challenge is to really give your family everything when your mind's racing a mile a minute, and never really seems to slow down. So I think that's the biggest challenge, and something that I've tried to be better at as I've gotten older and more experienced in the league. And also have gained the perspective, my kids are getting older fast, and I got to value and cherish each moment.